Okay.
We be careful we don't talk shit about people.
Yeah, really.
Hey, welcome to our Tuesday weekly community live stream with the Test Geek and the Guru, Brian Lee and Dean Tenney. We're here to help you with any of your exams. Please let us know what exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. It would be helpful. It would be helpful when you ask a question. If you let us know what series exam you got, because a lot of times people are talking in the chat, which is great. It's part of the community. But, Brian and I will sometimes be fumbling around, spending, wasted minutes on, if it's this exam that's testable. I should tell you, Brian, I just had an SIE practice exam, not Kaplan, not yours, not mine, where they were asking somebody about duration.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I'm like, so we need to know what exam you're taking for that. For example, if you're taking a 65, 66, you may encounter that. If you're taking a, SIE, I would find it unbelievable that you got a duration question. And that's part of what these are about, our Tuesdays as well, is to brief you on what we think you might encounter and share with you debrief, what people did encounter. So, this week we had lots of people testing. We had, Brian, somebody get a 58 on the Kaplan Mastery and still pass their exam. So I've had that happen now twice in the last 6-7 months. So that's just awesome.
Plus,
we would prefer you're not in that 58 range, but it is what it is, right?
Plus 15%. That's what I always tell people on that master.
So that's how we'd like you to ask your question when we start going through the questions. I asked Mom if we should go dark for the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and Mom said she didn't think we should go dark, that we should continue to put the Tuesdays out, the premieres out on Thursday. And then she said she wants me to tell you my baby broker story. When I was a baby broker decades ago, I used to do a forced close where I'd say, hey, Brian, I'm going to be in your neighborhood on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. When should I pop in, Tuesday or Thursday? I mean, it was a script I had. I'm not going to go into, but I had a pretty powerful kind of a pipeline in terms of getting appointments. Anyways, it didn't matter what was coming because I didn't pay attention like holidays. And anyways, this guy called me and goes, Dean, I'm just looking at the calendar and I know we have an appointment Thursday. We realize that's Thanksgiving, isn't it? You're right. We probably shouldn't get together on Thanksgiving. So
you have an extra place at the dinner table?
Yeah. The channel is organized. So let's go over to some admin. You find your series exam on the channel, and then you would find all the videos that we have available to you on the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is a free supplement to your paid study materials. We have extra content I do not put on the channel that you can find on our Reddit. And I'm not a Facebook fan, but I put stuff on Facebook because I know people use Facebook. So there's some extra stuff there. I try not, the channel already has 200 hours and 200 plus videos. So if it's just a little 10, 15 minute explanation to somebody, I post it there and then send you a link. In terms of paid supplements, the Test Geek offers our viewers and subscribers, that's Brian, 20% off on his products and services. I find myself more and more recommending Brian's stuff. People ask for a cheat sheet, and I said, well, why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Brian has one for you. So there's 3 tiers of things that we offer to our viewers and subscribers in terms of Brian's content. I don't want to mislead you about what the offer is. So this week, a guy bought the PDF of Brian's practice exam for $20. With that, you get the rationale. You can watch me do it. Brian's given me permission to explicate it, but I don't give you the rationale. I'm not set up to send you things. But for $20, I think it's 16 with a 20% discount. You can get that. What I always suggest people do with that is make poor man's flashcards. Takes Brian's questions. I'll mark off the wrong answers. And this the night before or morning of, just read those questions and write answers, because some of those questions Brian has are pretty spot on. The second tier is the PDF with his, sorry, Brian, quick notes. What are they called?
Notes, class notes.
Yeah, he's got a 30, 40 pages, but that's where the cheat sheet is that people are reinventing the wheel on. I don't want you to, Brian says to memorize and do it every day. I'll just tell you, I want you to have your own. Yeah. So, but Brian is a good starting point. I can't tell you how helpful it is just to put your name in the box. They've got different boxes for you, and you put your box, your firm, and it helps you, particularly on those NASA exams. So, I felt like telling this guy for $36, why not just get Brian's, and that'll be a nice, kickoff for your own, whatever you want to plan to do on a cheat sheet. Be careful. I would prefer we didn't call it a cheat sheet, particularly at the exam. That's, you know, kind of worrisome to me. But, and then all in on Brian is $80 for his videos. That's on the Teachable Pro platform. It's 100, but with the discount, it's 80. I don't know why people get frugal on investing in their career. So I understand. Some people, the economics are what they are. I get it, but don't get frugal. And then Kaplan, the Kaplan discount code is Guru10 at checkout for any Kaplan product or service. Okay, so let's see what we got in terms of Oh my God, we got 24 already. Theo is taking his SIE next week. All right, love it. Theo, most of the SIE is recognition. So make sure that you remember that. So, you know, don't get it. I just was telling Brian just before we went live that I was looking at an SIE practice exam. Somebody, they had like a duration question. I go, really? So, you know, don't get in the weeds too much on the SIE. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't start at the top. My bad. Series 7. Yeah, there's one of our loyal viewers and subscribers. She's a victorious test taker. So happy Thanksgiving. We will be doing our premiere Wednesday. It's a 65 practice exam instead of Thursday because Thursday's Thanksgiving. So if you're interested in 65 premiere and joining me for a live chat, you can do that. But you might want to take advantage of our victorious test takers. Happy Thanksgiving. All right, there's another victorious test takers. Are you, Tyler, a sales supervisor? You got both your 9 and your 10 done? Or you still got to do the 9s? People sometimes do it in different orders. I hope to have more. Thank you so much, Tyler. Brian and I are talking about collaborating to get more content up there. I wish there was more content. I have a lot of ideas on content. It's just that, you know, I get bogged down anyways and, you know, the other stuff. So there will be even more up there shortly. I'm thinking next couple of weeks. New issues 30 days are not eligible. You are correct, and that's testable, Richard. Since mutual funds are newly issued, that's true. An open-end mutual fund is a new issue. It's not a different rule. It's the same rule. Prior to 1934, Richard, we as broker-dealers were in charge of credit extension to our customers. That was called the Roaring 20s. Everybody had great fun. Richard, you give me 10 grand, I'd loan you 90 grand to purchase securities. And what do I care what you're going to buy? At the end of the Roaring 20s, there was a crash. And we decided maybe broker-dealers aren't the best decision makers about credit extension to customers. So we took it away from broker-dealers and we gave it to the Federal Reserve Board. That's called Reg T. You definitely need to know that Reg T is 50%. So customers need to initially be at risk for 50%. Richard, you need to know this new issue. And the other thing I would know is you can't purchase options on margins for test purposes. You know, when I say for test purposes, that means outside of the test fantasy land, there are in the real world differences. But for test purposes, can't buy options on margin, can't buy new issues. Hello. All right, Indianapolis. I don't know if you're a Schwabie, but Schwab has a big facility there in Indianapolis. Surprisingly enough, Indianapolis's Schwab facility has one of the smallest little cafeteria things, but the best short order cook. I mean, I used to look forward to go to that site, and just because I knew, man, he knew what he was doing. Westlake and Westlake is another big Schwab corporate campus and laundry. Not so much. SIE next month. All right. Start out. By the way, can't stress this enough. You want to start out with a testing victory if you can. That SIE sets the stage for what I call going 3-0. The journey of 3-0 begins with 1-0. So, and it'll pay dividends, by the way. If you do a good effort on your SIE study effort and execute it, you could almost test out of a Series 6. And you can also, if you're taking a 7, it will be, you know, just easier to come to that with some already base laid. Woohoo! Thank you, Savannah.
There she is. Yay!
Yeah. Thank you, Savannah. So I always joke with people like Savannah. Maybe I should stop joking because I don't want to guilt trip people into not unsubscribing. But I have people. I always say Brian and I come into your life for a reason and a season. The reason is to help you pass your tests. The season is how long it takes you, like Savannah, to matriculate through those exams. And so, you know, I get more than one. I'm starting to get, Savannah, more like yours, which thank you so much. But I get a lot of people who say, hey, Dean, thanks a lot, but I'm now unsubscribing to the channel. It's not a big deal, Savannah, because to be honest with you, YouTube subscriber count is a vanity number in terms of YouTube as a student of YouTube. What really matters is views to the algorithm. But you know, I'm vain, so I like a survivor count. So I'm averaging this. I've had about 1,000 new subscribers. So, you know, we love referrals. Test taking victories are always good for referrals. And we've got a lot. I was just telling Brian, we went just over 1,100,000 views, and we're doing pretty good. So second anniversary is coming up. So we'll see what we're going to do for that. Yes, there are others, penny stocks that are, you know, the stocks that are OTC, not on the FRB OTC margin list. I doubt you'll see that. Um, can you think of any other, Brian? I think
that's it. Is this Series 7? I take it.
Yeah. And Richard, stay on the Brad avenues and highways.
That's right.
Of the information. I can't tell you. Listen, I don't mind making money tutoring people to pass questions on Pass Perfect, but I had two-hour study sessions, tutoring sessions, Richard, where literally they worked at firms that were making them do Pass Perfect, and they couldn't answer the complex margin questions that Pass Perfect has. And the sad part about that, Richard, is that that's not what you're going to see on the exam. So, you know, I don't know who your test prep vendor, but by the way, I would defer to Brian here and see what he thinks. But I think, Richard, almost every test prep vendor gets in the weeds on margin as compared to what Brian's just showing you. Let me give Brian the his big board there. So, right.
Yeah, there's only 3 margin questions on the Series 7, right?
So if you tell us you missed the 7 because of margin, we're going to say, really? Come on, there had to be something else that did you in. Well, I always recommend Kaplan because I'm an independent contractor to Kaplan, and I can be more helpful with a Kaplan Q Bank on the 9 because you can give me the QID number, and I can look it up and help you. So that's why I recommend Kaplan. But I need to disclose I don't get paid for Kaplan products, but it's easier for me to help you. I don't know if you're already in our 24 Reddit community, and we're agnostic. Both Brian and I are agnostic about your choice of a test prep vendor. So we'll still help you if you get STC. I think STC, you know, don't think you're at risk. I would avoid Pass Perfect for the reason we just discussed on all their stuff. They just really get in the weeds. I would avoid Exam FX and training consultants. Pass Perfect, too much. You know, Exam FX and training consultants not enough. So that would be my recommendation for you. I'm not sure. Offer made. It doesn't really matter whether I make you an offer and you accept it or not in terms of the Uniform Securities Act. So, you know, and the number of offers made. Taxation, I don't think that's a big deal, but, you know, that's pretty broad for a live stream. So I have a video on taxation. Brian, I think, has a free YouTube on taxation.
I do.
And he's got some great he's a great storyteller. I forget what he has. Don't you have some grandma or some aunt or something? He's got some story about the taxes.
Yeah, grandma buying AT&T.
Yeah, there you go. So check those out. Circle back. You know, you can always you can send me an email. Let me just show you that. So if you want to send me an email just to give me some more clarity on what you're doing, you can do that at deantinney@gmail.com. If you buy Brian stuff, I don't want to answer your questions about Brian stuff. I'm teasing, but not really. He's more than happy to talk to you. So I can't tell you how many people will take an issue with one Brian's exam questions. I'll say, well, just call Brian. He's more than happy to talk to you about it and tell you why he thinks that's the right answer. So, let me get rid of the banner. Let me get rid of how that get the banner show back up. Boom. Okay, back to comments. Where were we at in this thing? There we go. Well, suitability, I always think, are difficult questions. And the reason I think they're, oh, there you go. I saw you on the schedule for Friday. Thank you so much. Send me whatever you want to talk about. If you have like a punch list or something, I did see that on the schedule. So just send that to me. And I'm more than looking forward to that. I thought, who wants to talk about this stuff Friday after Thanksgiving? But no worries. No worries. I'm here for you, so not a problem. Okay, let me see. I'm out of order here a little bit, so be patient here. I'm trying to get back in order here. Okay, well, you got both. I mean, so there you go. You got a happy medium between the two, right? You got too much and
too little. Yeah.
I think that's a good passing indicator. Yeah. Well, don't think of buying Brian's courses. Just buy them. Why not? I would think sometimes, like even whether it's tutoring with me or tutoring with Brian or his paid supplement, I think of it as an insurance policy.
Exactly.
Why would you not want to have an insurance policy?
Guru 20 for 20% off.
There you go. And the other thing is, by the way, we don't consider any of that to be a transaction. We think of that more as a relationship with you until you get through your passing, get your P, as Brian says. Brian, that language in social media now is taking on people sending me screenshots with the big P.
It's a P. I like
it. P. So you're welcome. That's what we're here. We're here to help. So thanks for joining us from LinkedIn. We broadcast to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Yeah, I think all of Brian's finals, I think, are the best out there in terms of correlation. So
thank you, Savannah.
Yeah. So, listen, I'm not a hater, I'm not. But when people were asking me about exams, I sometimes say, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I wish I could tell you that means you're going to pass or not. Please do a Test Geek final, and then we'll know where you're at. Thank you. Thank you so much. We love referrals. We love referrals. Yeah, like I say, Tyler, Brian and I, and Brian's, I'm stealing this from Brian on plagiarizing, but, we're a bridge from the, that to the real test. So we don't really care, we help everybody regardless of that. I know about you, Brian, I do get frustrated when I think the vendor is getting in the way, and that's typical of most vendors. So, it's not like, I get into it even in Kaplan backstage sometimes with just stupid questions that I don't think are helpful. I'll put it that way. I'm not sure the full course. I'm not sure what that means. I'll let her answer you on that. Woohoo, sales supervisor. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can find you some points. If you got any questions about what you want to do better this time versus last time, we're here for you. We're here for you. Yep, I call it the matrix aerobics. Brian and I teach options very similarly. And, the problem is if you don't have a process on options, so a lot of people teach just straight memory work, which, I'm not saying you should memorize break-evens. But, if you can understand it, it gets a lot easier. Now, I don't think 66, Justin, that's going to be a big deal in terms of options, in terms of that part of your testing journey. I would think that if you already passed. My 66 is next. Oh, well, great, Justin. So you're done with options. If you pass the 7, I don't think the 66 option should be that challenging to you. Which exam? So we need to know which exam you're taking. Fundamental and technical analysis. I would tell you that technical, fundamental, I wouldn't worry about too much, but remember, fundamental is a balance sheet. I would know the working capital, current ratio, quick ratio, debt to total capital. I know PE ratio. Am I missing anything else there? That's assuming you're taking the 7. It's a lower key on the 7 than 65, 66. On the 65, 66, I would add to that fundamental analysis, dividend discount model, dividend growth model. In technical analysis, I would know support and resistance. I would know odd lot theory, short interest theory. I know where we place stop orders in relationship to a chart to go long or short. But again, I would say if you told me you missed your exam because of fundamental and technical analysis, I would say you had bigger problems elsewhere. Brian, you got any comments on that?
Is this for the 7 again?
We don't know. So I'm assuming it's 7. I'm assuming it's 7 because you said fundamental and technical analysis. You're testing Saturday, but I do have a balance sheet video that premieres. I think it'll be after you test. It's next Thursday. Very testable, Caitlin. Very testable. So 0 coupon bonds.
Again,
no trade flat. Yeah, we don't know. So listen, Caitlin, it doesn't matter in this example because it's going to be testable on everything. But that being said, it is helpful if you put the Q in front of your question so we know what's going on. It looks like Brian wants to show you some board work on zeros, which I don't think is a problem. let me give you, Brian, some more real estate. There you go.
There's one thing. Thank you, Dean, for doing that, because the language that the textbooks use, that you receive the interest at maturity, can get a little confusing. You don't really get interest at maturity. You get the full face value of the zero coupon bond. So you buy it at a deep discount, and then you just get full face value. Now, for tax purposes, that is taxed as if it were interest, as ordinary income on an annual basis. I just gave you 3 test questions. How's that?
Yeah. By the way, that's at the computer interest. It's excellent. Excellent. I would know that you don't have any reinvestment risk along the way in a zero coupon bond. Right. I would know they're good for somebody who wants to lock in a rate of return. You need to set some money at some future day. They love the college question. Yeah. So that's on all exams, Caitlin. So I'm not sure which exam you're taking, but you're definitely I can't imagine a draw. I call it a draw. So I can't imagine any draw in which you don't get asked about zeros. Right. 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 So, high probability, low probability. I'm wishing for you, Caitlin, a dream draw. Everything you studied shows up. You go, I don't know what the big deal was. Sometimes though you get that face of death draw where you got to go, oh man, you're slogging your way through it. Well, I'm not surprised here. And the 3 styles of questions you get on your Series 7 are recognition. You can't be fumbling around with recognition, like when do options expire. Practical application, like calculating parity. You can't give that kind of stuff up. And then the hardest questions you get are what are called judgment questions, where you got to go, And almost every suitability question is a judgment question. Now, there are some that are aim and shoot, point and click, but they're fewer and far between. What I mean by that, for example, a muni bond suitability question is very easy because you're just going to do some math. You're going to do the taxable or tax-free equivalent yield, and that'll lead you to what would be the proper recommendation. So I address this a couple ways, and then I'll defer to Brian. I think, and I always recommend to people, you get solid on investment vehicles. Solid. What I mean by that is, that partnerships are not liquid, for example. Zero coupon bonds can be used for college education. And then what you want to do is kind of project the answer. You think what would be the suitable investment vehicle. I do have a playlist with 4 hours of videos on suitability on the channel. It's a separate playlist, but I would attack it through the products. If you know the products well, the suitability questions then become easier. So that's how I would attack that. Brian, you're
absolutely. It's all about product. And I always tell people, because some of those questions on the 7 get pretty long-winded, and they start talking about the age and marital status and how many kids they have and how many garages and how many bedrooms. So I tell people to make sure that you look for the stated objective. And that's where you have to know which product goes best with that. It's absolutely a question. And these are the judgment questions that Dean was talking about. You have to know your products. What products are best suited for what type of objective?
For example, mutual funds, professional management, diversification, ease of ownership. I was helping somebody today who is struggling with risk mitigation in terms of non-systematic risk or selection risk. That's a mutual fund, right? Diversify can be diversified. So that's kind of what we mean. Why do you write covered calls? To generate additional income, right? So I would approach it from the product side. By the way, that's function 3 in FINRA's content outline. It's 91 questions in function 3, which is investments. Well, they get face value. I think, Caitlin, I think this is out of sequence, Brian. I think this is after you did your board work. So this is about your Series 7 package, Brian. On your test, there was a scenario where a client inherited $50,000, and the correct answer was to invest in this 401k. Are you sure that's Brian's? I'm pretty familiar with Brian's content. I don't recall that question.
I don't recall it either.
So, Erica, here is Brian's email. Let me give you Brian's email. And here's mine. There's Brian. So just send Brian a screenshot of that.
Please do. Let's look into this.
Yeah, I think what Brian, the 2 scenarios you should be aware of. There's mine. I like I say, I usually defer to Brian because it's his questions. But what I would say is there's 2 scenarios you should be ready for on the test. One of those scenarios is gift of securities, where the recipient assumes the cost base of the donor. And then when somebody dies, there's a step up on the cost base. So those are the two I'd be aware of on the test. Okay, let me get rid of that. Yeah, I think the SIE, like, listen, I got 49 videos, 50 videos coming up. There's over 50. You get more content on my channel than you get in a 3-day SIE class. So I'm very proud of that SIE playlist. And I do think that you could use your primary study tools as a secondary and use my channel as a primary. And I think you would pass that. That being said, Brian has his Teachable program, and we've been talking about another collaboration on the 24 and maybe doing something with the SIE together. So a lot of carryover. That's what I meant. Hi, Erica. How are you, my friend? You have anything for us tonight, Erica? I know you usually come with some questions, so we're ready for you. If you have some questions, we're ready. Yeah, boy, that's going to be interesting. I don't know how far along the merger is going, but TD Ameritrade's house rules were much different than than Schwab's. So it'll be interesting to see what changes in terms of the merger. I finally decided I'm probably never ever going to get to teach a live class again, but I have campus badges for both Schwab and Vanguard. But who knows if I'm ever going to get to use my access badge? I think as part of the merger, TD Ameritrade was using training consultants, and Schwab was using Kaplan, and I think they decided to go with training consultants. So Savannah is asking Erica, how close was Brian's to the real thing? I'll let her answer. Yeah, I think he's as close as most. Closer than most, I guess, is what I would say.
Thank you.
The images will make a secondary market. That's called the bond desk, and all debt securities trade over the counter. Test question at a negotiated quote-driven market. So you should definitely know that debt securities trade over the counter in a negotiated quote-driven business. I buy at my bid. I sell at my offer. That's called my spread. My minimum spread, if I'm trading corporates and munis on a proprietary dealer principal basis, is 1/8. And my minimum spread, if I'm trading govies, T-notes and T-bonds, is a 32nd. So the individual make a secondary would include all the following. I don't see your answer set, Femi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't see your answer set, but you're looking for a dealer principal. Maybe they're asking about a broker's broker. I don't know. So without the answer set, but I would definitely know everything I just said.
Is there such things as broker's broker anymore?
There are, yes, there certainly is, but I just don't think it's
in the muni world they pretty much did away with it.
Well, yeah, they're still out there, but I mean, JJ Kinney is still out there, but yeah, it's a kind of a dying business. Anytime you're a middleman, you can rest assured somebody's trying to cut you out of the loop. You know? So, but I had somebody who was asking about the broker's broker the other day. I'm sure if you're using past perfect, the brokers are still there.
Yeah, I don't think they show up on the test.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, one more for the trifecta, one more for the hat trick. You got it, Melanie. 66. Those NASA exams can be a different beast, different dragon to be slayed. So about your 66, about half is regulatory and half is investments. Yeah, I don't know, Erica. I'm kind of not in that mode of a premium account. I know people sell channel memberships and T-shirts and coffee mugs. It doesn't speak to me. Maybe next year I'll set up a website or something. But I'm more than happy to have the channel be completely free, except you got to watch the ads, or pay like I do. I think it's $12 a month to make the ads go bye-bye. But I just don't. Then I would also, Erica, have to tier the channel. And it just seems like it's more work than it's worth. I mean, to be honest with you. So what am I going to do? Charge you? I would have to make some videos. It's the same on tutoring, for example. I used to have, Mucky Mucks I would tutor for more money. And, Mom was saying that Jorge, I hope I pronounced that correctly, should pay more for Friday tutoring than Wednesday tutoring because it's the day after Thanksgiving. I go, yeah, it's just too much work. So, so it's more a sign of my laziness. I would say this, though. I'm not offering you anything that I wouldn't be willing to charge you for. I just, Brian, I'll let Brian be the paid supplement. And for now, I'll be the free supplement. And that seems to work well. Brian, I've talked about if I do start to charge for stuff, maybe I'll use, Brian's platform to do that. Because, he's already got that. Out of the money questions. So remember, out of the money would be an option contract that doesn't have intrinsic value. So remember this thing, it's a great mnemonic again, Erica. Call up, put down. Call up. If the market price is up from the strike price, the contract has intrinsic value if it's a call contract. Now, I wouldn't worry about out of the money as much as I would in the money or intrinsic value. As I recall, you're taking a SIE, Erica.
Right. Yep.
So I would, again, avoid getting into the weeds on options too much. But out of the money doesn't blow people up. So what you got to get more comfortable with is this concept of intrinsic value. Because what they say a lot on the test is phraseology like you close out at intrinsic value. So I'd be more worried about in the money and out of the money. Or excuse me, in the money, intrinsic value. For a put, it's the opposite, right? If a put contract, the market's above. So I would approach that from in the money, and then the opposite would be the out of the money. What I would know, though, is if at expiration, Erica, the option is out of the money, it will expire worthless. Is that good news or bad news? That depends, right? Or you bought it or you sold it. And I would know, Erica, that if it has intrinsic value, it'll get exercised.
Definitely a question that shows up on the SIE. Definitely.
Yeah, I would have an understanding of intrinsic value. Do you think, Brian, though, it's mainly going to be intrinsic value, not out of the money? I think it is.
I believe the language is in the money, out of the money,
Okay.
at the money. Those are the answer choices.
Yeah, okay. So Savannah is answering, Erica, your question that Brian's questions do reflect the actual exam. So I'm giving Brian some space here. Looks like he's going to do some board work for you, Erica.
Just very quickly.
Yeah, these live streams, Erica, I'm time stamping these things now to make it a little helpful. So Erica, we're at 31:36, and I'm going to link a video at 31:36 in the replay about in the money, out of the money. I have two 15-minute videos, one on calls and one's on puts, and I'll link that there for you. So tomorrow, if you go to 31:36, besides Brian's board work, you'll also see a link to a couple of videos. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. If the current market price is greater than the strike price, that's for calls, then it's in the money. For puts, if the market price is less than the strike price, it's in the money. So they're opposite of each other. These are both in the money when the market price is above or below.
Call up, put down. Call up, put down. Options are
open. Let me do my little aerobic stance.
Call up, put down. I would, again, just comment that the intrinsic value is going to be a bigger deal. Top three sections. Yes, I think the top three sections are indeed munis, mutual funds, and options. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, cool. Cool. We have the free Reddit community. So we have our Series 24 we had a couple 24 passes today, which was really great. That's our Series 24. That's for 9s, 10s, and 24s. I'm more active there because the community page, I try and keep it active here on the YouTube channel, but it's just YouTube sent me a thing when I passed 1 million views. Will you take a survey? I said, yeah, send me the survey. They said, what do you think we could do better at? I said, you could do better at making that community page a little more, friendly to interact with people and, just me doing static posts. But we also have our R Series 7 Reddit. You can remain anonymous, which I kind of like about that, particularly if it's like you're 24, right? You don't want to. I've had Brian people on the 24 ask like, hey, can I park my friend's registration? I go, well, please don't. Good thing we don't know who you are. So, and then we have that our R Series 7 is for the SIE and Series 7. And we have R66, which is for all the NASA exams. So we have 3 Reddit communities. I moderate as Series 7 guru. Yeah, well, like I say, remember your LinkedIn user, should you buy Brian 66 for 99? No, you should buy Brian for $80. If you put in Guru 20, you get 20% off the $99. So then you could get it for 80, all in $80. I think you definitely should invest in that. Particularly Brian on his NASA exams, I really think does a good job of putting it in plain English. So, if you're struggling with the language, I would do that. So
should I answer that question?
Yeah, you go ahead, Brian.
Just use Guru 20. Get 20% off.
Yeah, it's $80. I got it. Again, I'm not a hater, but somebody was asking about buying Achievable, Brian, as a supplement, as a paid supplement. I said, listen, I think Brandon's a wonderful guy. I like Achievable. I just have issues with the correlation of practice exams to scores in terms of the real scores. I don't have that issue with Brian. So I had made the thing, what I would do, Brian, is buy Brian, Test Geek, and a Kaplan Q Bank all in. That's less than achievable. And of course, the achievable, cult, fired up on me. How do we find you? Hold on, Brian. I know how to find you. Look what I made just for you, my friend. There's how you found Brian. So
that's where my video platform.
Yeah, and there's how you find him by email.
That's my email. There you go.
You want me to put a website on there too for you? There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's where the videos are.
That's where they reside.
Yes.
Let me see here. I'm sorry. Every time I go to the banners, then I lose where I'm at in the comments. Yeah, we're talking about it. Caitlin, you can access Brian's test as a free supplement on the YouTube channel, where you can actually hit pause, watch me answer Brian's question, and tell you why the right answer is wrong, right answer is right, and the wrong answer is wrong. But then you can buy a copy of that, Caitlin, from Brian directly, where we just showed you the teachable and we showed you his email. And you can, again, buy either the practice exam, the quick notes are all in $80. And that's how you can access this test. You can either buy it as a PDF, buy it in the quick notes, or with the videos, they get all the PDFs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you get
everything. It's all in. Yeah.
We're talking about it. But we know we don't want to compete with those billion-dollar publishers. So
textbooks. Yeah.
We're talking about doing something collaborative in terms of videos and PDFs for some of the exams. So, it's just Brian's a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. So we're going to make it work at some point.
I think, Dean, we add more value to people outside of the textbooks.
I agree with you.
There's a ton of textbooks out there. You don't need another one.
Yeah. Lots of situational questions. I don't know what exam you're talking about, but yeah, those are judgment questions.
Yeah.
So I don't know, LinkedIn user, you're showing up as anonymous, but I agree with you. Not so much on the SIE. I don't think the SIE has a lot of situational questions. I think it's mostly recognition, but 24s, 9s, and 10s, absolutely. And 7s, judgment questions, absolutely. I think 24, Tyler, if you have a 9-10, why not? 24, very similar to the 10. What do you think, Brian? He has a 9-10. What would be next?
24. Yeah.
I think we answer where you can purchase the Brian's material already. Dream draw. Woohoo. Woohoo. Try not to flag too many questions. As a good test taker, your first answer is your best answer. So I wouldn't change answers unless I know I got it wrong. I still wouldn't change it. And I know what the right answer is. Otherwise, leave it alone. The first thing I ask people who just missed the mark barely is, did you change answers?
I asked the same thing. Yeah.
Do you create that subset? So it is a reading test. That's why getting a good night's rest is so important, because you want your reading skills to be in top form when you're testing. So make sure that last night you're getting a good night's rest. Really important. 63, man, people do struggle on the 63. And I just put up another practice exam on the 63. I don't know if you were seeing the 63 channel on the YouTube, on my YouTube channel, but check that out if you haven't already. If you've already checked that out and you're still having problems, I again would suggest Brian as a bridge that you might want to look at, particularly on that. He's pretty damn good. So maybe check that out. It would be a recommendation. Hopefully, Ann, there's some commonality to what you're missing, perhaps. 63 is a bear in terms of language and grammar, and there's not a lot of performance opportunities, so it's very easy to miss the mark on that thing. That's when you have the stock, Erica. So the only time you're subtracting on a call is if you have a stock position. So at a covered call, it's going to be the stock cost less the premium. Same thing, Erica, on the put. The only time you're adding for a put is if you have a stock position, you're buying protection. So in your mind as a test taker, you need to know there's two players, people who are speculating and people who are hedging. So the minute you see a stock position, you say, this is a stock position. So Brian's putting one on the board there for you. Oops, sorry. Let me give Brian some space.
That's the classic hedge, right? There's your stock. There's your option. If you want to find the break even, I have heard of a break even question on a hedge. What Dean and I always do, especially in the Series 7, where there's far more of these, is we just track the money out of your account or into, right? Money goes out when you buy 100 shares at 40. Money comes in when you sell the call for a premium of 3. So you just net those two, and guess what? The answer falls to the bottom.
So Erica, we're at 40 minutes in. And so I will link, I usually on the links, well, I do two things in the timestamps. I say, Erica, so tomorrow on the replay, it'll say 40 minutes. It says, it'll say something like Testy does whiteboard for covered call. And then in parentheses, it will have a link to a video for a covered call and a protective put. That's what these are called.
Right.
And I'll link 2 videos there for you. Let me get back. Well, by the way, if you're not struggling with contract specifications, so if you're looking at, well, let me get Brian again. If you're looking at that whiteboard and you're not struggling, that's an obligation to sell the stock at 45. If you're not struggling with contract specifications and you can track money, you get 100 on options. I told you I felt bad tutoring a guy on advanced options on Series 7 for Past Perfect. My God, it was like a Series 4. They were asking about butterfly spreads and all kinds of things.
I got one too. It
Yeah,
was a ratio spread of all things.
Yeah. And I said, hey, let's, make up tea. We just got to be kind of calm as we get it.
And also, Dean, reinforce for the SIE, again, there aren't a whole lot of options.
3 or 4 option questions. If you tell me you missed the SIE because of options, I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to say you got bigger problems, my friend. Well, let's start with market makers. Market makers provide liquidity in over-the-counter stocks. So I'm a market maker. I'm willing to turn your securities into cash or your cash into securities. That's what it means to say I make a market. If I make a market in sporting tickets, I mean, got tickets, need tickets. That's what I'm doing, providing liquidities. For test purposes,
if bond traders are over-the-counter, which one of those terms goes with over-the-counter?
Well, dealers are for bonds. We call the guys doing bonds not market makers. We call them dealers, but they're doing the same thing.
That's right.
And then traders, traders are a little different because, that depends on the context. But let's be clear, you are a registered rep. You are none of those things. A registered rep is somebody with a 6 or a 7 who makes public contact regarding securities. Now, the biggest thing on this is knowing what capacity the firm is acting. So again, I don't know what exam you're taking, but those are terms you should be familiar with because you're going to see them in the context of ethics and the context of investments. So well, I'm not sure, like 466 video. Well, I'm not sure how to respond to that. I am teaching a Kaplan 66 class 2 weeks from now, and I usually use the classes as an excuse to make more videos. So you could be looking forward to, I'm not finished with the explication of the test specifications. I plan on finishing that the week of that class. So that's when you'll get more 66 videos. I also just put up a 66 practice test, and I'll have another 66 practice test, maybe three weeks out. So I don't know when you're testing, but there'll be another practice test up there in about 3 weeks. Well, I think we just talked about that, Eric. It's when you have the stock. So remember, Brian just put that covered call up there. And remember, so that was where it's called down. It's not called down. It's just you're subtracting, right? You're subtracting the 3 from the 40. You're out 40 for the stock. You brought in 3, so you're net out of pocket 37. So that's when we're not doing the call up. So if you didn't get that, you'd look at Brian's whiteboard and go, oh, it's a 45 call at 3. The break even's 48. I'm short the call. I'm a bear. And I have unlimited risk. No. Right? You got to make sure you stay focused on the stock. Oh, man. Okay, well, we're just going to, Eli, I'm very surprised based on your execution or study plan. So maybe send me an email if you want to do a little Zoom or something and talk about it, do some debrief. We can certainly do that and get you back on track. Well, Erica, we carve mortgage-backed securities, GMAs mostly, into cascading cash flows. Bankers have discovered If we give something a fancy French name, we can charge more for it. I'm not going to get much for snails with butter, but escargot and burr, now we're talking. So tranche is just a French word for a slice. And I don't like this because I know too much for my own good, Erica. We can carve them into interest-only tranches or principal-only tranches. The test question isn't about that. It's about plan amortization classes. The early cash flows have less risk and more predictability. Therefore, that's why they have lower risk. And targeted amortization classes, tax, have more risk, less predictability. A PO tranche doesn't mean you get principal only at maturity. It means that is the part of the cash flow that's being distributed to those tranche holders, right? So that it's not a zero. No. If you got a PO tranche, as people make their principal payments, it gets passed through to the people that are holding those PO tranches. You want to add to that, Brian? Again, it's an area, Erica, where you're not on the broad avenues and highways of the information. So I can't tell you how many people get in the weeds on CMOs. I just told you all the test questions. One more test question. We have to get a suitability statement from the customer that they understand they're buying a cash flow from a mortgage pool and not proportionate ownership in it. Two entirely different things, right? So I think that's pretty much it. But to answer your question, I want to make sure I answer your question. No, that's not what that means. You're welcome. You're welcome. Competitive, but how would your options fare with Brian's? Well, we're both similar. I mean, I think we're simpatico. Brian does more of a school marm approach, and I'm more of a tough love kind of guy. So if your ego's fragile, maybe it's better to pay Brian, even though Brian gets accused of not being so. I don't know what the right word is. I think Brian doesn't care about social media, to be honest with you. Right, Brian doesn't go wrong either way. Yeah, I don't think so. So, we're trying to do different things. So maybe I would tell you the advantage too is Brian has got a little more editorial control than I do, because, he's trying to say things in a format that makes sense to you quickly, where, listen, to be honest with you, you could get in the weeds because I have 25 option videos. Do you need 25 option videos? I don't think so. That would take you like 40 hours to work your way through that. So I just think we do different things. The good news, though, we don't think both of us, before we decided to do live streams together and collaborate, we know that our styles are not so different that I'm not going to confuse you if you use Brian, and Brian's not going to confuse you if you use the channel, because we're simpatico about how we think things should be taught. So either or. I would tell you that I don't think it's a exclusive thing, right? Because I do think for $80 you don't get stuff from me. So I hate to say this, but I get problems with people not understanding the channel is self-serve. That means what it sounds like, self-serve. I'm not sending you files of slides that you saw in my video. I'm not sending you PDFs. I'm not doing it. So that's the other advantage to Brian. He's more than happy to send you all that stuff, and God bless him, because I think it's worthwhile. I mean, do I wish I was set up to do that for you? Perhaps, but as I told you, I'm not, and it doesn't speak to me. I haven't had anybody tell me they have to count the number of accrued interest in a long time.
It's been a while.
I would know it's paid by the buyer to the seller. I would know we calculated from the last interest payment date up to, but not including. It's more recognition than anything. However, in my videos, I show you how to do it. Do you go over that in your teachable videos?
I do. I go over it. Yeah. But, I think the biggest trick about that is people kind of lump munis in with U.S. government securities.
Yeah.
Where munis are actually accrued the same as corporates.
Yeah.
Because they're both T+2.
A nightmare. I agree with you, Ken. Those NASA exams can be nightmares. They say when you dream a foreign language, that's when you know it. So I guess when you have your first testing dream where you passed, dream, not nightmare, you go, woo.
Exactly.
Good morning. Where are you joining us from? If it's good morning, I'll give you a tour someday of my my studio. Let's see if I can show you this studio. Anyways, I have clocks from around the world around the wall. So, depending where you're at, I can tell you what time it is. Well, T+4 means that Reg T Erica says customers get 2 additional days to settle trades. We don't like to tell customers they get 2 additional days because we don't want to use our money to settle their trade. When I say our money, broker-dealer money. So as a margin clerk, Erica, margin clerks determine whether monies or securities due. And as a margin clerk, I can't bother you until T+2 + 2. Therefore, T plus 4. At that point, Erica, as a margin clerk, I can reach out to you and say, hey, where's your money? So if you like buy 1,000 shares at 40, whatever the case is, Brian is excellent at illustrating these concepts. He did this for the 24, and I sent the lady to his video, and she goes, oh my God, that was so nice. So enlightened. Settlement, Erica, is between broker dealers. So that T plus 2 is the uniform practice code. This is what got Robinhood into such trouble with the GameStop scenario. Remember, all their customers were buying and selling GameStop, and they have T plus 2, but not Robinhood. Robinhood has to settle up with the counterparty T plus 2. I give you the real estate, Brian. You want to go over that real quick?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I tell people, for simplicity, settlement is transfer of ownership. Reg T is payment of transfer.
Yeah. Settlement is when ownership changes hands. Like it.
That's it. That's the only difference.
Boom. Well, there's another difference, right? I get into the weeds a little more. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with green lights on STC and Notman Marks. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great thing. We'll be taking Brian's. Well, I've got 4 on the channel. So in the practice test list on the channel, the playlist, I have 4 practice finals I've written. They're not diagnostic like Brian's. They're more based on debrief, things that people have seen and I want to share with you. But there's 4. There's actually 5 if you call my practice exam. So there's 5 there where you can watch, hit pause, attempt the answer, hit play, and see if you got it right. So that's another 650 questions for free.
Sounds like somebody's about ready to take a test.
Yeah. But again, I think that you're done. We didn't ask your scores there, but I'm with Brian. I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, that's where you want to be, actually. Yeah. Did you tell us when you're testing? I would like you to be testing like next week, because you don't want to be going backwards.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
If a broker dealer opens a separate entity, well, again, we would want to know what that separate entity is, and give it to the agent for financial planning. Do they have to register as an IA? There's no IRA. It's IAR. Yeah, financial planners need to be registered. So you can't be a financial planner charging fees for financial plans without being affiliated with an investment advisory firm. Yeah. So that separate entity, the answer is that is an investment advisory firm, meets the ABC test, and that separate entity needs to be registered. That's my answer, Brian. Is that the answer you asked?
Absolutely right. Yeah. Boy.
Listen, people spend so much time trying to get around the rules, and it doesn't work. So any of these questions on the exams, particularly written by NASAA, you want to embrace the idea. I embrace registration and regulation, and not Angela. I can't show it to you here on the whiteboard, but if you go into my Series 4 playlist, Angela, I'll link to it. Let's 5242. So I'll make a note, and I will link to my my ratio lecture for the Series 4. Maybe I'll put it back into the Series 9 playlist. It may already be there, but 5255. If you click the replay tomorrow, at 5255, you'll see a link to my lecture. It's got a big picture of a butterfly on it, but it's not only butterflies, it's all advanced strategies for 4 and 9. It's got ratio rights and ratio spreads and butterflies and condors and flamingos. And I'm joking. There's no such thing as a flamingo. But Angela, I do want you to know this live stream is for 9s, 10s, 24s, and 4s. But we do want to, if I ask Brian to put a butterfly spread up on that whiteboard, Angela, we might put other people at risk. So we'll link that with a video, and then you're more than happy to send me an email, and I'm more than happy to, do some more work on that if you need it. But I think it's like 30 minutes, something like that. I don't have any suggestions for life insurance. Do you, Brian?
No, none.
Use same or similar vocabulary from learning vendors. I know some complex words. Well, I think that, they're all trying to model the test. I mean, the vocabulary, I know I'm more familiar with Kaplan than I am others, but I think Kaplan's vocabulary is very similar to the actual exam. Brian's most certainly is in terms of his, test, his practice finals. Absolutely. I think that's great. I would like you to put, say Brian's. I recommend sometimes, Brian, when I am telling people about your practice test, I recommend 1 of 2 things. The one thing I really like them to do is use that as their final check. So I sometimes tell them to put it away. And then, when you're ready to do your final intellectual inventory, whip out Brian's Test Geek Final, take that. And then I told you the other thing I'm a big fan of in Brian's Test Geek and why I like the PDF so much is I really think it's a good idea to the night before or morning of or both, just read Brian's questions and write answers, his rationales, and take your own Marco and just, cover up the wrong answers. So that would be my recommendation for you if you need another practice file. Now, Brian, what do you have? You have some other, he has 44 option practice questions. Is that a separate thing or do they get that with it?
No, it comes with the video course.
Okay.
It's
So,
the options.
I mean, it's not, Brian doesn't have a huge Q bank as part of his, product line, but the ones he has, his practice files are definitely worth the money. Well, VIX would be no different, Erica, about intrinsic value. And by the way, intrinsic value has nothing to do with the premium. Nothing to do.
Absolutely right. She's got it.
So you're correct. There are, Eric, on the test questions about the VIX, and that's the volatility index or the fear index. You should know it's based on the S&P 500. That's certainly testable. And you should know that, I hate this, but for test purposes, it has negative correlation with the market.
Premiums are never factored in
That's
for
right.
intrinsic value.
That's a different thing altogether.
Yep.
All right. Well, it looks like today we ran over the last time. Anybody got anything else before we call? We're right at 5:30. You are welcome. So tomorrow, if you want to join us for a live chat, well, Brian doesn't do that, but I'll be available 4 to 6. I'm premiering a Kaplan 65 practice test that you can join me. I do a live chat during that. You have to be a question about 65. I'm there during that. We're doing it Wednesday instead of Thursday because Thursday is Thanksgiving. And then Tuesday is the live stream. Next Thursday, we got what's premiering next Thursday? Oh, the balance sheet lecture. And then the following Thursdays are an SIE practice exam. So Tuesday and Thursday is kind of our rhythm on the channel. Okay. As I always tell you, inch by inch, Series 7 is a cinch. And Brian says, get the P and
answer the questions based on what you know, not based on how they're worded. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, guys. We will see you next Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Las Vegas time. Bye-bye.